Good day, lords and ladies, and welcome back to Ziggurat with me, Cornish-Knight. Now, where were we? We were trying to find the exit. Yes, we were. We're not going to break the books. I wasn't trying to break the books because I wanted to try and save them. Now, where is the boss room going to be? Here we go. Oh boy, this is interesting. Come on. We've got necromancers. Stock dive. We have to try and kill off these guys. Necromancers tend to be really bad because they can summon people. Or if they let liches, probably liches, judging from the look of them. You can see a slightly upgraded version, and they've got goblins. Because of course they've got goblins. Come on. You can jog on, mate. And all that's left is the elite skeleton warrior. Whew, that was not particularly pleasant. Used up a lot of my... Oh, it's a lore room. Can anyone prove that the Ziggurat may end in something that is not death? He has a good point. This seems to be predominantly like just, yeah, this is the boss room. We haven't got that much charge. Oh, I have a bad feeling about this one. It's Bastion, the High Priest. Yeah, this is the end boss. As you can tell, he's a lovely soul. Oh, gods above, he's nasty. Need to kill off these guys. Hopefully they'll give me some health. These things home. I got 1 HP, I don't think I'm going to manage it. Curses. This is going to be a really short episode. These homing. Yeah, they're homing. Too young to die, not... see, he's the end boss. We got right to the end boss. Curses. You unlocked a new card. Vitality Energy. Increase your maximum current health by reducing the size of your mana pool. New item unlocked. Turtle. Greatly reduces the amount of damage you take, but also reduces the damage you inflict. New item unlocked. Poison Amulet. Creates a cloud of poison that poisons your enemies. New item unlocked. Fire Wave Bomb. Didn't I unlock that already? Sage Amulet. W attack rate. Let's do one more run. We haven't unlocked anybody new, unfortunately. It takes a long time to unlock people in this game, unfortunately. So we're back at the beginning. Ooh, we got a spell book. This is interesting. This is a spell book. As you can see, they tend to be like homing spells. They're really good. Each, like for example, the spell book will have, like the arcane book will basically have a lot of homing magics. Like for example, they will lock onto enemies. You also get a whole host of other things. This is a really good game. I'm probably going to make this the last episode we do of it, just because I would like to try and do something a bit different. Isn't this just a fun little exercise? Let's show off this new spell we have though. See, look, it basically locks onto where you're looking at. It's a very nice little spell. Now, what should I say about Ziggurat? If we're going to do a general review of it, this is going to be sort of like the last episode of this current run. I like Ziggurat a lot. I find it really enjoyable. It's a nice. It's basically what if you want a roguelike shooter. This is the one I'd recommend. I know that there are ones like Immortal Redneck and stuff out at the moment, but this is really. Ooh, is it a treasure room? Oh, we're lucky. Oh, it's going to be a trap, isn't it? Yeah. Or not. Amulet of found. Chart amulet. Cover part of your mana reserve when used. That's a nice amulet. Okay. Positive things about Ziggurat. It's very responsive. You can play some roguelike shooters and it feels like you don't, like your movements aren't always as quick as you want them to be, because in this kind of game you really need it. You really need your character to respond. Like as soon as you need to dodge, you need to duck, you need to dive. There's the key. Oh, this is a really short level. You want to basically be able to move around quickly, so you want to have nice, fast-acting controls, which I do find Ziggurat has. I enjoy the weapon types. There's lots of variety in weapons, and they all do interesting things. See, I do like that. I think it's just a really good game. There are some negatives, I'm not going to lie. We got decreased attack rate. Who are we fighting? Imps. I like the enemy variety, I like the level variety. You always get to fight interesting rooms, and it reminds me a lot of the Binding of Issac in some ways, where there's always stuff going on, which I think if you're wanting the sort of classical roguelite, I suppose I should say, rather than roguelike, if we're being technical. Hold on 1 second, let's need to dodge for here. Level 2. Quickly level up. Gain more mana from potions. Potions give you more health, that's always a nice one to have. If we're talking about your experiences, like enemy range, because in a good roguelike game of any type, even like roguelike shooters, what I think is really necessary is to have a nice variety that which appears. I'm just trying to explain it. You basically want it to have a nice variety. You want rooms to look different every time. You don't want to come across the same room too often. I mean, that's where the Binding of Issac is particularly good, is that you can play the game for hours and hours and you can still come across randomly generated rooms. This game, not so much. To a certain extent, they are very random, but at the same time they're very open. That's one of the few things I will say about it. There's the boss room. Oh, night. Let's go and fight the boss. Who have we got? King Blob. Majestic Slime. Okay. He's a bit of a pain, but nothing we can't handle. He's got an area effect attack. He's got homing poison attacks. He's relatively straightforward to kill. Yeah, what I was saying, basically, I enjoy Ziggurat a lot. I think it has a lot going for it, especially as one of these rare. Well, not when it came out originally, it was a one of the rare sort of rogue first-person shooters. It's a very nice game. I've heard people criticise, oh, like there's no you don't have like any weight behind your attacks, your weapons, kind of thing. But to be honest, that doesn't bother me. I don't see the point. Like, oh, you want to have a big gun, like the gun has impact when you shoot at it. That doesn't feel particularly important to me. I'd rather have a game that's fun to play, which Ziggurat is very fun to play. I'm not saying it doesn't have issues. It definitely has issues. Let's go with Wrecking Ball. It certainly has issues. Yep. I'm just going to quickly jump onto the next level. Continue. And like, so what are these? For example, if I'm being honest, the sort of progression through the game, like how long it takes you to unlock new stuff, is one of the main problems this game has, I suppose you could say. It takes quite a long time to do it. I've been playing this for like a while, and I've only unlocked like 3 characters, and as you can see, I don't know if it's like if it takes runs. I mean, to unlock like the next character, it's going to take 40 of something. I suspect it's 40 attempts, or you have to clear 40 floors. But even then, that's pretty nasty. Also, enemy variety type really needed to have some work on it. I think this is the problem. This game needed a bit more dedication given to it, I think. Don't get me wrong, I think the developers made a really great game, but I think it suffered from the problem that it didn't get enough sort of like well, if we're using the Binding of Issac analogy, is that the Binding of Issac, whenever you get like a new edition comes out, like if it's the Binding of Issac or the Binding of Issac Unborn, I think they are on. I can't remember which one it is. I don't really keep up with the types of Binding of Issac games, but the thing is that they always add additional stuff, which makes it more of an experience. That's one of the problems that, in my opinion, Ziggurat lacked, is that they never added extra stuff. You didn't get extra DLC like new room layouts and new enemy types. That's one of the things that you need to have in a game like this. You need to have a lot of variety, otherwise after a while it's like, oh, we're fighting these guys again, which can happen. Because it's like, oh, we're fighting these skeletons. Yeah, I mean, they're not nice, don't get me wrong, but at the same time it's not... They're not sort of like massively... You can get like slightly different variety types, like, oh, this is an elite skeleton, but at the same time it would be nice to have a bit more... It would have been nice to have a bit more like different types of opponents, rather than just like upscaled versions. I know they do it similar things in the Binding of Issac, but at least they changed that when they release new stuff. A lot of the time you would just get enemies that are like improved versions of the standard enemy, like you'll get green knights or you'll get purple knights, blah blah blah. The room layouts, I'd say, like the artwork is nice in them, and when you get to different levels there are like different like types of rooms which are nice. They could have a bit more variety, just slightly, I think. What else? The grind, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with grinding a game. Like I play Battle Brothers, which is, some people say, is a really grindy game. There's the key. But at the same time, every time you play Battle Brothers you learn something new. You do in this, but the problem is that to unlock new characters takes a really, really long time. I mean, you can unlock items relatively easily, like you find them just lying about, or you complete a run, and then there's a lot of items. Maybe that's why the grind is so... well, not grind, but the repetition you had to do is so high. See, this is one of the enemy, like, elite enemy types you come across. It's just like a colour change, which I don't particularly find that enjoyable. Reduce your mana... I don't know, it's just... okay, that was weird, that glitched. Pros, I like the game a lot, I think it's very good. If you want to play a roguelike shooter, this is the game for you. I find it's very satisfying. You have lots of different attack types, you have multiple, once you unlock the classes, you have lots of different class types. It's just a really enjoyable game. I like the way that you get different levels. The scenery is nice to look at, it's very colourful, while at the same time not over the top. Long room, no. I just think it's a really nice game. There are issues, like I said, that they have limited enemy types, which is a main problem. That the fact is that you can end up seeing a lot of the... If you're after a few playthroughs, you've pretty much seen a lot of the variety of enemies that you've got to face. What else? Banshees. I'm going to get to the obelisks to destroy them, I take it. How fun. Yeah, like, I find that, like, after a while, the variety of enemies becomes very, very limited. They don't have as many enemy types. Also, the kind of like room room layouts can become quite repetitive after a while. Especially once you've the thing is that it works. Don't get me wrong, the game works really well, but at the same time, the issue that you have is after a while, you've seen a lot of the stuff the game has, like the room layouts, the enemy types. And normally that isn't a problem because you're playing a roguelike, and that's what you sort of signed up for. But the issue with that is that the grind in this game is very, very high. Where's the obelisk? This is when you can't find the other silly obelisk that you're trying to look for. Oh, there we go. They need to make it easier to find these things, I find, because a lot of the time it's hard to find them. Go away, fish. Yeah, basically they should have added more variety. I think the problem that this game has is that it basically didn't get the support it needed. I think when it came to DLC and stuff, if it'd been given more DLC, this game would have been really, really good. It would have been if they'd put more DLC into it. I think this game would have become like a fantastic thing. But it suffers from the problem that it lacks variety of, like, diversity of content. It lacks new enemy types. It lacks it lacks like floor layout types. And after you've played it like a lot, like I have, you've pretty much like you see a lot. After a while, you don't see much new stuff after a while, which is a shame because it's a really good game and people should play it. But the problem is like the amount of grind they required you to do for it was very, very high, very high. Like I've played it for not a long amount of time, but like a good chunk of time, and it's just it has a lot of like. It has a lot of. I don't like using the term grind, but it has a lot of forced replayability. You have to replay it a lot to unlock new stuff. Pollock, Master Shaman. Oh, he's in there. This guy's a pain. We'll just finish him off. He's got a summon. He's basically the bloke that summons vegetables and the little archer dudes, the goblinoids or the kobolds. But yeah, I mean, to finally sum up, I really like Ziggurat and I suggest people play it. But for me, it feels like a missed opportunity. It felt that it could be something that really incredible. It could have been a really like standout example of the first-person rogue genre, which is a rather limited genre, to be honest, properly. But it just feels like a missed opportunity in some ways. It's a fantastic game, and I do suggest that you play it. But I don't know. I have really mixed feelings about Ziggurat because I like it a lot. I think it's a fantastic, beautiful game. I think it's really enjoyable. I just think that it didn't get the love it deserved in some sections. I mean, please pick it up if it's on sale. Pick it up and play it. It's really enjoyable, but it's just that little step away. It could have been. If it was just a little bit more like like stuff added to it, like some more DLC. I mean, I would happily pay money for DLC for this game. If it added new stuff into it, I would obviously buy new stuff for it, but they haven't, and it's like, this is a bit of a crying shame. It really is. Yeah, save and quit. And I think this is where we could leave it for Ziggurat, ladies and gentlemen. A really good game, just a little bit lacking in some areas, a bit grindy when it comes to the long game overall, but a really good game that I suggest that you pick up and play. I would wait for a sale though. I wouldn't get this at full price. It's a really good game, but for the full price it's maybe best waited for something that's a little bit cheaper when it comes out. Like, wait for a sale, wait for the summer or winter sales on Steam. And this has been Ziggurat. I've really enjoyed it, even with some of its flaws. I hope you look into it. I'll see you all next time. You can look me up on Steam, you can look me up on Twitter, and I wish you all a lovely day. Goodbye.